Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Reading Arabic with Muna. Today's lesson is about the Arabic letter Ain. The letter Ain is the 18th letter of the Arabic alphabet. The letter Ain is one of the two letters that share the same shape, except that the Ain is without a dot. The shape of the letter looks like two connected curves. The top is smaller than the bottom. The letter Ain is so unique that it may be considered the linguistic DNA of the Arabic language. With over 8 billion people on Earth, less than 5% can master this deep, throat-based sound, the Ain. Ah, so what's so special about Ain? This sound originates or comes out from a part of the throat that is rarely used in most Eastern or Western languages. The Ain is a prominent feature of the Semitic languages. Now, all of these languages, the Ain in them has faded away or shifted from one sound to another. For example, from the sound to the sound. But in Arabic, it remains alive, strong, and pure. Also, there are other languages in the neighboring that still have this sound, ain, that the sound as a pure sound. And I believe this is because of the influence of the Arabic borrowed words. Now, for more information about this story, please visit my blog. Okay, now let's break down the sound of ain and why it is a bit difficult for non-Arabic speakers. Now, we can describe Ain as a tightening or a squeeze that takes place in the middle of the throat. So, the action stage here is the throat. Now, the main challenge for non-Arabic speakers is that the specific muscle needed for producing the Ain, that is here, is abandoned. It is considered as a lazy muscle in other languages out of the Semitic languages. So when they try to make the sound, they instinctively use the closest familiar area, which is deeper in throat, and that's what produced this glottal stop or the hamza sound instead of the sound. Now, in English, this glottal stop or the block of air is, for example, when you start a word with a vowel, like when you say apple, orange, or egg. There's a click, there's a stop you use when you say these words. Now, these sounds are the closest sounds that non-Arabic speakers can produce when they try to produce the sound. Okay, now that we agreed that the letter Ain in the letter Ain in Arabic has no equivalent in English, and the closest equivalent that we can be using when we write or pronounce word in English are the vowels. Why the vowels? Because the vowels, they have this glottal stop that is the nearest part of the throat to the sound, and that is the sound. Okay, and in English, we're talking here about vowels. So we have 5 different letters representing vowels in English, and all these vowels, they have the sound, the glottal stop when they are used in a word. So which of these are going to be replacing the letter Ain? All of this is depends on the haraka, the harakat of the over the Ain. So we need to know now, we need to listen to the harakat of the Ain, and I want you to guess which haraka and which sound will replace the in English when we write the Arabic word of a place or a person in English. Okay, now the neutral state of the sound when it is produced with sukun is ah. Now you can sense how I'm trying to squeeze the muscles of the throat. And with fatha, a, with dhamma, u, and with kasra, ay. Now I just want you to imagine how these sounds can be replaced with glottal stops or with vowels in English. So let's see some examples. Okay, now let's start with the a sound with the fatha. The first word is Abir. Abir. Abir is a female name, and when we write it in English, it becomes Abir. Ali. Ali also starts with Ain, but with the Fatha, we write it Ali. And finally, Aden. Aden, this is a Yemeni city, and when we write it in English, we write it with A or with the A. Abir, Ali, Aden. Abir, Ali, Aden. Now, let's listen to examples with the A sound with Dhamma. U, U. Now you can guess what vowel that we're going to be using. Ula or Al-Ula. Now, Ula can be a female name, and they usually write it with O in English. And also the Saudi city in the north region, Al-Ula. It is formally written with U. So in Arabic, it doesn't matter if you write it the U with the O or U, as long as you are pronouncing it U. Uthman, Uthman. Uthman becomes Othman. And finally, Oman. Oman is originally Oman. It's a Gulf state country. Oman becomes Oman. So, Ula, Ula, Uthman, Othman, Oman, Oman. Now, the A with Kasra, a female name, Itaf, becomes Itaf. Imad, a male name, Imad. And the country, Al-Iraq or Iraq, becomes Iraq. Now, in Arabic, it doesn't matter if you write the I in English with I or with E. It's a matter of preference. Like, for example, we all know that the name of the country Iraq in English is always with the I. But for people's names, they are free to choose whatever they want to choose. Yani they usually follow the norm of choosing E or I. Like, for example, the Imad in English, you might see someone writing it with I or with E. It's a matter of preference, but the point is that the I, when the A sound is with kasra, it is always written with I or E. So, Itaf, Itaf, Imad, Imad, Al-Iraq, Al-Iraq. Okay, now we reach the part where we practice mastering the letter Ain. But before we start, I want to add something. I want to ask you, why would you bother to know these shifts between the Arabic A and its replacement in English while you are learning Arabic, not English? Well, the answer is simple. I want to build a bridge for you. This helps you to connect the dots by using sounds you already know to find the new sound. This is very important with the letter Ain, so you don't get confused or make wrong guesses about Arabic names, because we have a lot of Arabic names of people or cities or landmarks. They are all written in English in different letters. So this is just to show you how one sound in Arabic can reflect in other languages, reflect different usage or of letters or vowels or sounds. So when you understand this, you will see that names which look different in English, may actually come from one Arabic letter, and that is the difference between the harakat in Arabic and the vowels in English. In Arabic, we use just symbols to shift the sound from a to u, but in English, we use actual letters. This is only an added information for you to build a solid foundation before we move to the practice of the ah sound. And I want to say something also, that we're gonna focus on the glottal stop the sound. We're not gonna practice saying for now. No, we're just gonna focus on the sound, the glottal stop here, because I want you to master the sound. Once you can easily pronounce it effortlessly, then you can practice it by your own. So let's get started. Now, in the first exercise, it will be a warm-up for our vocals. As you can see from the image here, this is the part of the throat responsible for the sound, or the letter ain. This is the lazy muscle for most of the languages. But here below, as you can see, this is the hamza, or the glottal stop sound. It comes a bit deeper from the and it is the closest part of the throat that we can depend on to exercise our muscles and move up until we can master the sound. So now in the first exercise, I want you to produce the sound, a continuous as far as you can. Don't squeeze, don't try hard, just put your hands. I want you to sense the vibrations and think about the vibrations. Are they steady? Are they soft? Are they gentle? Are they strong? Are they powerful? As far as you can. Now, I want you to start with and then stop with a glottal stop. And again, I want you to put your hands on your throat and sense the vibrations. Now, I want you to say the sound, but separate stops. Now, I want you to keep repeating these 3 steps exercise. The long sound, and then with at the end you finish with the glottal stop, and then finally the stops for each okay. Now let's move to the next exercise. Here I want you to repeat the same steps, but this time I want you to keep your mouth closed. So keep your mouth closed and try to produce the with your mouth closed, and then with the glottal stop at the end, and then all of that with your mouth closed. Then finally, I want you to imagine that while you are producing these sounds, especially step number 3, I want you to imagine that you are an engine that is working for a long time and about to explode. How would that sound? How would you feel, or what sounds comes to your mind when you imagine that you're an engine that is about to explode? At this point, I want you to try to squeeze the muscles of your throat. It's like you are annoyed, you are angry, you are an engine that is about to explode, but I don't want you to open your mouth now. Just try to sense where is the power coming from. It's at the middle of the throat. Keep practicing the 3 steps with your mouth closed. And now we go to the third exercise. Now the third exercise that you're gonna repeat step 1, step 2, and then step 3. At the end of step 3, when you say and you imagine that you are an engine that is about to explode, then you open your mouth and produce the sound powerfully. This is the sound that you should produce when you are angry or when you imagine that you are an engine. So keep practicing. This is a very basic exercise. Just try to play around with your vocals and try, maybe at sometimes you can imagine that you are an engine, sometimes you are angry, frustrated, and try to mimic the sound of anger. Okay? Okay, the exercises are basic. The sound is a bit difficult to master, but be patient, practice, deal with the sounds that we produced as a raw material that will be refined later once you can produce the sound with your mouth opened. Don't worry. Once you master the sound of a or the letter ain, it's congratulations. It's a license for your vocals that you are ready to learn Arabic words, because I think, in my opinion, ain is one of the most difficult sounds to master. So be patient and learn, and don't give up. Okay, now enough exercises. Relax your vocal cords and listen closely to some words that contain the letter ain, and just simply listen how the sound blends with other sounds in Arabic.
اذكري لي يا صديقتي كلمات تبدأ بحرف العين.
عنب، عقرب، عسل، علبة، عصفور.
And now we move to the part where we give you a hint to connect the sound of the letter ain with its shape. Now, since this is a very special letter, the connection that we are going to make today are also special, imaginative, and a bit philosophical. So let's get started. Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of the lesson, that the shape of the letter ain consists of 2 parts, or 2 curves. The small curve at the top and the bigger one at the bottom. So, how are we going to link these 2 curves with the sound of a or ain? Now, let's think of these 2 curves as container. We have 2 containers here. The first one is the eye hole for the eye, ain. Now, the word ain in Arabic refers to the eye, and it is also the name of the letter. So ain, when we say ain, we may refer to the name of the letter that it's in front of us, or to the organ of the human. Ain. So the first curve is the eye hole containing or protecting our sight for ain. The next curve is a bigger one. It's like a tummy of a pregnant woman. It is the womb. So let's imagine that this is the womb and this is the baby inside of it. Now, as we know that the baby has many stages in the mother's womb. One of the stages is called al-alaq. Al-alaq. Al-alaq means a clinging clot of blood that sticks to the wall of the womb and later enlarge and become a baby. So this is the eye hole, and this is the womb, and here is the alaq or the alaqa. Alaqa is the actual clot, and alaq, it is the root of the name. So we have ain and we have alaq. Both words start with the letter ain, and they are connected to the curves. One protecting the eye, the sight, and the other one is protecting the human being. And did you know that the very first chapter or surah in Quran revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was called Surat Al-Alaq, a whole story named after this piece of blood that plunges into the womb to start a life. So I hope this connection makes sense to you. Now, above all connections that we learned today for the letter Ain, the letter Ain is always connected with the language. اللغة العربية, عربي, العربية. In English we say Arabic, but in Arabic it is عربي, العربية, and عربية starts with the letter Ain. So the letter Ain, above all, is a symbol of the name of our language. And of course, don't remember the philosophical connections. Ain, علق, and Surat Al-Alaq. I hope that you will never forget the shape and sound and connections for the letter Ain. And that brings us to the end of our lesson for our special letter Ain. Thank you for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.